Hi, this is a Flamingo, and I'm actually going to do a review on some short films, some fun short films. I got the complete collection of Wallace and Gromit, all four of the short films. Grand Day Out, The Wrong Trousers, A Close Shave, and A Matter of Loaf and Death. This is the 20th anniversary edition of Wallace and Gromit that was released last year in 2010. And let's just crack into it. It comes in a nice slip case and keeps all the DVDs together. I just love even Aardman what they do, you know. I must admit, my friend Jordan Boma actually, he has a good channel of claymations. I'll post a link on the bottom. I knew of Wallace and Gromit and I had watched it when I was a kid, but Jordan, his name is Jordan, and he really likes Aardman animations, and he kind of really started kind of refreshing my mind on kind of just how great all this stuff was. You know, like even like Chicken Run and stuff, films I hadn't seen in years. And he's a big stop motion guy, and I had always liked Wallace and Gromit though, mostly because of the wit. I like that wit that Wallace and Gromit has good classic British wit and good sense of humor, good sense of timing. Definitely need that in stop motion, and I don't know. It's just one thing I love most actually about it is Gromit, actually the dog. And that he doesn't say anything, yet through a gamut of emotions, he can express whole feelings and move the plot line very well, very thoroughly. And I think that's an achievement that they were able, like if you think about it, a lot of Wallace and Gromit are very sight gags and silent. It's almost like a silent film if you just, you know, in many ways, because a lot of it's just a lot of action and movements and things, and just Gromit doing all these inventive things. And I don't know, I think that's actually an achievement, and that's why I think there's a certain appeal in Wallace and Gromit, and why I think it's actually going to live on. And a lot of people always come back to Wallace and Gromit and consider it just one of the greatest, at least one of the greatest stop motion and claymation ever created. So I think it started off on a good note. The first one was A Grand Day Out in 1990. Nick Park came up with the concept when he was in college, and it was based off a lot of drawings, and I think he was even doing it as a comic strip originally, but then changed it into claymation over time, and I think he even started animating it in college until Aardman found some of his stuff and picked them up and gave him a lot more money and a lot more time to do Grand Day Out, because I think A Grand Day Out, if I recall, I think literally took 5 years to do in the end. And Nick Park did another segments, and he even was part of the Peter Gabriel music video, the one with I know this sounds dumb, but I actually don't remember this song. I just know that he did the cool Peter Gabriel music video with like the dancing chickens and the bumper cars and things. And yeah, and so I think this one is a good start for Wallace and Gromit and setting up the characters, you know, that they're inventors, right? And a ridiculous scenario that Wallace wants to go to the moon to eat cheese. I think that's, I actually think that's a really, I think that's a smart comedy thing to do. I don't know. As bad as I know, I'm not doing good in this review. Anyway, I think it's just a genius idea, you know, to take that, you know, the old myth that, you know, the moon is made out of cheese, and basing a whole character kind of around that. And it's spawned on so well. Everyone that watches Wallace and Gromit knows that, you know, Wallace loves cheese, and he's even like the frontman of a cheese brand in England. He actually saved a cheese company in England. They were actually going under, and just because they planted his Wallace and Gromit's face on it, and Wallace approved, now it's a famous cheese company. It's actually amazing, and it all started with just, in some ways you could say, almost a cliche idea, you know, them going to the moon, you know, they built a rocket. It's the way they did it though, I think that's so clever. You know, and the robot's so, it makes me sad actually, that robot. He's all alone, and they put the coin in, and in the end, you know, the robot's all alone on, I was almost crying, actually. You know, it's actually almost, this one is, to me, is actually almost depressing in many ways. And actually a thing that me and the friend who does all the claymation, pointed out, if you look at it, there's something offsetting about Wallace and Gromit. The way the lighting is, just the way the music even, a lot of it, how it runs with the piece, and I think just how the story is, they're actually kind of depressing in look, and they also kind of look a little, in some ways, bleak in its own weird way. I don't know if you guys have noticed. To me, though, it looks really almost even gritty, and I don't know. It fascinates me though, because it really is truly for kids. Well, not really just for kids. I mean, but I started watching it with the kids. It has a kid appeal. Looks. Kids. Would easily, I think, be entertained by this. Obviously. But yeah, it's just this one is definitely one of my favorites, but, well, there's only four, in a sense almost all of them really are, kind of tied, but, yeah, this one is, I think, a good way. You don't necessarily need to watch this one to get an introductory, but it is a good first one, and, they definitely made their mark, and you could understand watching this why they decided to do more Wallace and Gromit, because if you think, they didn't have to after this, Nick Park was early in his career. He didn't have to just stick with Wallace and Gromit off the get-go, but there was a great potential in this one that you could see eventually crescendo into what now is the Wallace and Gromit phenomenon. And they definitely took advantage in the second one, The Wrong Trousers, and the first Oscar-winning Wallace and Gromit. And this one, I think, has one of the more famous scenes in Wallace and Gromit, and that is the train when they're chasing the penguin thief around the room with trains, and they, Gromit's like laying down the tracks to keep up. And I think this one is actually, I think maybe even is the most classic out of the four. I remember this one, I think, the most. This one and the next one, Close Shave. And the interesting thing about this one, this was the first one where they kind of did a mystery. Wallace and Gromit, I found, after Grand Day Out, a lot of their stories, even their feature film, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, are mystery cases where, Gromit, Wallace is sucked into something, right? And Gromit usually comes and saves the day, and it has the classic, that the dog is smarter than the human, but Wallace gets, most of the credit most of the time for being, this genius inventor. And I don't know, I think it was kind of just funny that they decided to have like a little penguin, kind of almost an innocent animal, be a thief and like almost even, frame Wallace, or try to frame and use the invention, the trousers. And, I just love it when he moves in and he's taking, Gromit's room and all the wallpaper and the record that he listens to all the time. Yeah, this one is just, I think, classic in most ways, and it definitely deserved the Oscar. And this one was actually made with Nick Park's friend. The friend actually did all the animation bits with the penguin. I think the penguin was even his friend's idea and creation. They decided to schmaltz them together to make a Wallace and Gromit, a good old Wallace and Gromit adventure. And I don't know, I think in many ways, like all the other Wallace and Gromits, this one is really quite smart, and it's done very well. And yeah, it's just, in some ways, this one, to me, is almost hard to talk about, because I think a lot of people actually know this one. It's just The Wrong Trousers, so what more can you say about it? This one is my personal favorite, and this one's the third one, A Close Shave. And this was also the introduction of Shaun the Sheep, which got spun off into his own TV show. This one, I don't know why, I just like this one the best. I don't know, actually, believe it or not, I think it's the sheep. I like that kind of concept, and the dog, he's a robot, and, it's, again, this one for me is almost kind of hard to talk about, really, because this was another one this one and The Wrong Trousers were the most vivid for me as a kid. Those ones I know I watched. Grand Day Out, believe it or not so much. I really don't remember watching that one, really. And A Matter of Life and Death, came out just 2 years ago, so I was 15. I wasn't really, kid. But this one, I don't know. For me, believe it or not, this is one where I really like how the stop motion. I actually like how this thing is animated, and this is a big reason why I like this one, I must say. and the effects, you know, the window washing people. For me, I'm amazed by the window washing when Gromit's washing the windows and he's bunging over the building and everything. And when Gromit flies the plane, and I even watched the clip where the sheep, you know, saw through the bars and how so many procedures on how to do that. To me, it's an astounding. I must admit that is why. It just, this one for me looks the most impressive. Of course, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit is impressive. You know, it's a feature-length film. But out of the just regular short films of Wallace and Gromit, this one for me, in some ways, is the most impressive. You know, some people might call me out on that. I don't know. You know, they're all pretty damn impressive. Definitely, I'm not really saying that because The Wrong Trousers definitely is. Yeah, that goes without saying. I don't know, it's just this one has a certain appeal and vibe that I really like. That I almost can't even explain why I really like this one the most. This one, I must admit, I think is my favorite one out of the four. It's just, I guess the pacing of it and all the jokes and, I don't know, I think to me this one is just flawless. They're all flawless in their own way, but I don't know. Like I said, I think it probably is the sheep. But yeah, it's, you know. And the last one is the recent one from 2009, Matter of Loaf and Death. This one actually, it's interesting that they decided to do a short film after the feature length. They decided to do another short film, and I like that. I actually like the half hour. You know, that it could have been like a TV show. You know, that kind of thing. If they made a lot, they could have just run them as a TV show. This one, I like, you know, it's so funny that was an advertisement, you know, a thin, lean advertisement lady who became fat and just went psycho and is killing all the chefs, bread makers and stuff, and bakery owners. I love that idea. I think it's actually a really good idea, and that she goes after Wallace. And I love definitely the end with the song Puppy Love, you know, when that poodle comes back to Wallace and Gromit. You know, this one is, I think, some people like, me saying this, but I actually find this one kind of cute in many ways. As maybe even as queer as that sounds from a guy like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. But it kind of is, you know, in its own way, kind of a cute film. It's fun, you know. This one is not as bleak in look as I mentioned in the other ones, and as the movie. In look, you know, they're definitely not bleak. No, they're too funny. I think they're too slapsticky. But in terms of the actual look, I think this one, you know, to me, this one actually does have a different look than the other ones. It has a different kind of feel, a different kind of tone, and this one, in my mind, sticks out maybe a little bit more than the others. It's not my personal favorite. I really like them. I like all of them. But, I mean, this one, for some reason, though I can't deny, does stick out in its own way. And maybe it's the animation, I don't know. But I even found the kind of humor was a tad different on this one. For me, the humor on this one was a little different than the other ones. The other ones have a kind of different texture and feel on how they do the comedy and how they pace it. I think this one has, you know, just a different pace of comedy, and just how they approach some of the jokes and things. I don't know, you know, it's just, I think it's a different kind of Wallace and Gromit, to be quite honest, and it even shows Wallace's ass. You know, that's definitely a move forward from what they've been what's been in the other ones, so, you know, yeah, but, yeah, you know, it's just, yeah, it's the latest Wallace and Gromit, and I just hope they continue making Wallace and Gromit deeply and sincerely. So yeah, that's Wallace and Gromit. I just love Wallace and Gromit. I think it's a very imaginative idea, you know, having an inventor, a guy and his dog, you know, having all these adventures and mysteries, and I think in that way it purely is timeless, because it's not even, you know, it's just, I don't know. I know I'm not, yeah. Wallace and Gromit for me are just flawless in all ways, and I hope it lives on, and I'm pretty sure it will. I'm pretty sure the wit and the humor will always captivate each audience. This has been Flamingo, and thanks for watching, and check out Wallace and Gromit if you haven't checked it out.